Good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome back, family, caregivers, agents, and thrivers to Lana's Little Things with me, Dr. Lana, specialist dermatologist. And we are in the month of May. Wow. I'm wearing green because that's representative of what we're going to talk about all month long. And it's mental health. So wear your green ribbon, wear your green, and for the month to support not just those whose mental health might be off, because often we're going to go into that tonight, my time, thinking about people whose mental health is not the best, but really is also to support ourselves and our own mental health and be aware that talking about mental health is something that we should be talking about with as much openness as we talk about our physical health. You know, you want to go to the gym, you want to get fit, but very few times do people allow themselves or feel free enough to say, "I'm not feeling in a great headspace today." That seems to be still filled with so much stigma, and people are ashamed and afraid to even speak to the specialist, because to even see going to a specialist office is deemed, "What's wrong with you? Your brain isn't good. You're not well. Something's wrong. We can't trust you. You're going, you know, to the other place." So let's first define mental health. I just want to keep it to some specific points for today's discussion. We're going to talk about mental health, define mental health. We're going to talk about what it and then what it's not, and then why it matters. So we're going to 6 reasons why it matters. But in the middle of there, we're going to talk about why we should care. Why should we care about mental health? Why are we even talking about mental health? Why even open the subject? And also this month I'm going to have a special guest, so look out for that. Without further ado, let's go into it. So, if we take the round definition from the World Health Organization, which is what I learned since medical school, and it's expanded a little bit, but essentially it is quite comprehensive. It is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes their abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and can contribute to their community. So it's both self and then it expands to the community. That's that part of it. It goes on to say, it likewise determines how an individual handles stress. So remember, you have normal stressors and then you have other stressors in life. One stressor might be, "Oh, what do I cook today? What do I wear? How am I feeling about myself?" Or a stressor, such as, "How do I pay this bill? What if I get laid off?" Or "They just cut my salary." That's a stressor in life. So how an individual handles stress, interpersonal relationships, mercy, the dynamics in humanity, that's a whole kettle of fish that we could spend the whole day on. And life-changing decision making. Some decisions are small, some affect you for the rest of your life. So we want to be able to do that in a healthy way, in a way that gives us as little regret as possible. Because let's face it, we're going to have regrets in life no matter what. But if we're in good mental state and we have good mental health support, we can live that lovely, productive, fruitful life. Okay. The definition continues. Mental health includes subjective well-being. So how do I feel about myself? How do I feel? Do I feel good today? Do I feel happy? Do I feel joyful? Do I feel anxious? Do I feel as though I'm waiting for another shoe to drop? Something's happening in my world. How do I feel about myself right now? So that's perceived how I'm going to do my day, what decision I will make, how competent I feel I am in my job, how competent you feel you are in your chosen career. Whether you're dependent on others or you're interdependent or you're completely dependent, and have you actually self actualized your intellectual and emotional potential? That sounds like a big set of words. But essentially, do you know who you are? Someone asks you, do you know who you are? It's not what you do. It's not what your title is. It is who are you at core. Have you actually set that emotion and are you comfortable with that? We all have things to work on. Do you recognize your strengths, recognize your weaknesses, and you know how, or at least have an idea of what you want to achieve and how you want to achieve it and what you need to work on? Because we want to get better every day. Do a bit better today than we did yesterday. We're not in competition with the rest of mankind. We basically just want to be a better person today than we were yesterday. And that's for ourselves and for our communities, our families, our loved ones. You know, it goes on. So it is really about the whole person, about the entire being. It's not my blood pressure, it's not your blood sugar, it's not about how well your heart and kidneys are functioning, although we're going to get into that in a little bit. It is really the holistic, the whole person. Who we are from head to toe, who we are when we step out our doors, who we are when we step in our doors. When no one is around, who are we? What is our state of mind? Are we happy? Are we feeling healthy? Are we feeling joyful? Joyful more so than happy, because happy can come and go. Do we feel grateful? Do we have good interpersonal relationships? Do we have a good support system? Do we feel comfortable? Can we sleep at night? Is our appetite well? Do we exercise? All of that, the entire person, the entire of us starts from here. Because this is the processing center, our brain. Everything comes from there down. So we must start with mental health in order to talk about any other kind of health. And to put mental health, which we have done, mind you, that's what we learned from medical school. I'm so grateful it's changing, but there's still a lot of stigma surrounding it. So, but what we've learned is mental health is mental illness, or at least you don't have a mental illness. No, mental health has to do with our state of mind, not how sick we are, but how well we are. The same as physical health. So that expands the definition even more, incorporates who we are, as I said before, even more, and it involves our ability to. We've got a set number of time on this world. I'm not talking about predetermined or pre-existence. I'm talking about we're gonna have a birth, a time of birth, a span of life. There may be a time of illness, short or long, and then a time of death. And that, however we do, whatever happens in between there, is how we live as adults, as functioning persons in the society. So we want that to be joyful. We want it to be reflective of growth. We want to be useful. We want to contribute. We want to be in a place where we feel competent, where we're using our gifts, we recognize our gifts, we recognize what we have to contribute, and we're able to do it. We're not living somebody else's dream, we're living our own. So then our state of mind, our mental health is healthy because we are living a fulfilled life. A life where yes, there are stressors, yes, there's sadness, disappointments, regrets. Some may have to go through betrayals, some are going to have to go through losses of loved ones. Whatever the life throws at us, it will throw. Believe me, it will come. It will come to all of us at some point. How are we able to cope with that and create that balance between the what I call the splat of life, where you didn't expect it, it just hit you from the side, and how we're able to cope and make better of a situation, how we're able to allow ourselves to grieve and allow others the space to grieve as well. That is good mental health. Mental health is not just about saying, oh, cheer up or say nothing is wrong. No, that is actually bad mental health. And that's what we don't want to do. Now, because so many cultures exist and because so many different ways of thinking exist, obviously there's nearly 10 billion people on this planet. None of us is going to think the same way. Yeah, I'm so grateful for that. I don't want to clone, just want to meet one of you. That's how we want it. So despite cultural differences, despite personal thoughts, what we really talk about when we talk about mental health is that we are able to complete or fulfill our life's desires, our dreams, our goals, our vision of ourselves, and our growth. And when I say growth, I mean our growth into persons who are reliable, trustworthy, dependable, honest, all those good things. And then be able to handle when life throws you some curveballs, which it certainly does its best to do. Right. So, because we're not going to talk about mental illness, but we're talking about mental health, why does it matter? Well, the answer might be obvious. Like, why does it matter? You just said living a fulfilled life and you're going to be of help to everybody else and so on. But it's a little more than that. So let's see what other thoughts come. I remember I said there are 6. So we've already dealt with the definition of mental health. We've already said it's not mental illness. And now we're coming to the final bits. Why does it matter? So these 6 reasons. 6 reasons. Easy. That's 6, right? 6 reasons why it matters. Because it affects our brain. The same processing center, it's a loop. So if we have good, pleasant thoughts, joyful thoughts, and we can manage stressors when they come, then our brain has a loop. Oh, I can do this. And it sends back a message of confidence and competence, which then sends back another, you can do this when something else happens. So you're able to process, make decisions much better, have better interpersonal relationships. And the best person you should have a relationship with is yourself. Because you got to live, wherever you go, there you are. Wherever you are, you're with you. So your relationship with you, your thoughts about yourself, my thoughts about myself, ought to be in a place where you can sleep at night, have a good conscience, know that you've done your best. You weren't perfect. No one is. But you're doing the best that you can. And then a relationship with your supreme being. So that you know that you have someone to rely on to help to make you a better person. Have you ever noticed that when you're anxious or depressed, your brain goes like all over the place? That's normal. That will happen. But if it happens more than it should, then that's a negative. So good mental health is managing when those moods come. Remembering that when we think those thoughts, our entire body responds. Our bodies respond to our minds. So we can affect. Remember I said we talk about our internal organs. So our brain and our cognitive function, our ability to make decisions, we make decisions every day, they can affect our heart, our kidneys, our liver, our gut, our intestines, our daily activities, daily physical activities. Have you ever noticed that when you're feeling down, you don't want to exercise? And yet exercise really helps you to feel much better. So again, managing your mental state helps with that. So it's just a way of showing how important the whole person is and why we should make mental health a priority. Because it affects our internal health, it affects our physical health. That's 2. It can help us to build resilience. What is that? Our bounce back. Before we bounce back, not that we ignore what our troubles are, but we're able to react to the tough times. We're able to support each other. We're able to be a support to someone else. We're not flattened when something happens. we're better equipped to handle more challenges, or we see the challenge that we have and say, okay, what is this here to teach me? As opposed to, oh, this again, I can never get anything right. Your brain hears what you say. My grandmother always said, you tell it out loud, your brain heard you and it's going to obey. And science has found that to be true. Isn't that amazing? Gran is always right. So, it helps us to manage our setbacks. It helps us to manage transitions in life. Things may happen. Illnesses may happen suddenly to us or to a family member. How do we bounce back? That's good mental health. Or into dynamics of relationships. That's where we for. So how it affects our relationships. How do we speak to each other? How do we interact? Do we have good friends? I'm not talking a ton of friends. I'm talking of our 2 o'clock in the morning boohoo, where you're sharing everything. Someone who knows you, knows your faults, knows your warts, you know theirs, and there is still love and meaning to the relationship. I'm not just talking romantic relationship, but our relationship with our friends, our families, our loved ones. And those ties and how we communicate and how we communicate when we disagree is a sign of good mental health. Doing it positively. So that's 4. 5. Maintaining a positive self-image. Remember I said how do I feel about me? How do you feel about you? What do you think of yourself? There are times you're not going to really always feel great about something that you did or how you feel, but overall, you're doing the best you can. And if that's the truth, and you ask someone who knows you and trusts you, and you trust them to give you feedback, you then have more confidence in your own abilities, not arrogance, but you're in a better mental state so that you can make better decisions, make better contributions, grow as a person, feel happier, enjoy life. So much and be grateful. There's so much to be grateful for. But life splats can really make you forget that. And then our overall well-being, the whole person again. Our blood pressure, blood sugars, our entire health. When you take a blood test, that tells you what our internal organs are like. So, in a great extent, it comes from our thoughts. Yes, you're going to have diseases, but if we think good thoughts, our body says, oh, we're going that way, and it follows through. And if something is wrong, we have our resilience, we can bounce back. So, we talked about, that's the introduction to mental health 101, what it is, the state of being well from our mind and being able to make good decisions. We talked about it's not mental illness, and we want to remove the stigma of it. We want to have grace for when we're not in a great mental space, and if we need extra help, to seek counseling, help others to seek counseling if we see them going in a bind. And we want to also be a whole person. So ways we can improve our mental health would obviously come from that. We make lifestyle changes that would make ourselves healthy. We talk to our friends. We talk if we have problems. We find a support group. We find someone we can trust. We maintain our closeness. We maintain our friendships. We share. We bond. And if need be, and we have to get extra therapy from a trained professional, we do that. But we want to maintain the thought, and I want you to leave with this thought. And tell me your thoughts. What are your ideas on mental health? What would you like to see me? What would you like to see being done better about mental health? And how do you feel about your mental health? So, from my heart to yours, Dr. Lana, this was a good introduction. The brain is a small organ with a lot going on. So we got to respect it. And the more we respect it and the more we reflect, the more joyful we become. And who can say no to that? From my heart to yours, good night.